Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians. Accordingly, Mr. Danladi Umar is hereby removed in line with Section 157, subsection 1.
Senate votes to remove Code of Conduct Chairman, alleges gross misconduct.
We are dedicating this day to him and his memory for his service and services to our dear nation.
And senators eulogized late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah at special valedictory session. Welcome to the program Inside the Senate. I am Hadiza Bayero Ali, your anchor. The Senate resumed last week from its 2 weeks recess, which it took to embark on oversight. When it resumed, it considered several executive communications, including the request for the implementation of the new external borrowing of about $2.2 billion in the 2024 Appropriation Act. This, alongside debates on bills and motions, as well as a valedictory session for late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, makes up this episode of the program. Do stay tuned for details after this short break.
Promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
And this act should be supported by all.
There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address.
We accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires.
I rise the second motion.
The ayes have it.
The President of the Senate on Thursday, 19th November 2024, read 5 letters from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. One of them transmitted the 2025-2027 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper, which was approved at the just concluded FEC on 10th November 2024. It was referred to the Committees on Finance and National and Economic Affairs to revert as soon as practicable. Other correspondences from the President include a letter of confirmation of the appointment of Omolola Bridget Oloworora as Director General National Pension Commission. It was referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to revert as soon as practicable.
I write in accordance with the provisions of Section 26, subsection 1 of the Pension Reform Act of 2014 to forward to the Senate for confirmation Omolola Bridget Oloworora as Director General National Pension Commission.
A letter transmitting the National Social Investment Program Agency Establishment Amendment Bill 2024 for the consideration of the Senate.
Pursuant to Section 58, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, the National Social Investment Program Agency Establishment Amendment Bill 2024 for the amendment of the National Social Investment Program Act 2024.
A request for the confirmation of the appointment of 3 nominees as Commissioners of Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The nominees are Abdulrazak Yusuf Tukur, National Electoral Commission Northwest; Sasheyi Fayejimi Ibiyemi, Resident Electoral Commission Ondo State; Sunday Uwamba Aja, National Electoral Commission Southeast. The letter was referred to the Committee on INEC to revert in 2 weeks. There was also a request for the resolution of the National Assembly for the implementation of the new external borrowing of $2.29 billion in the 2024 Appropriation Act. This request was referred to the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to revert in 24 hours. Let's take a break here. Next on the program is our notebook segment. Stay tuned for our subject of the week. Keep watching.
Functions of the legislator. The legislator performed the following functions: lawmaking, representation, appropriation, oversight duties, ratification of bilateral treaties, as well as screening and confirmation of presidential nominees, a function carried out by the Senate only.
You're still watching Inside the Senate, bringing you highlights from proceedings of the Red Chamber of the National Assembly and its members. The Senate on Tuesday, 19th September 2024, held a valedictory session to bid farewell to Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, who passed away on July 26, 2024. The casket bearing the remains of the late Anambra South Senator was brought in the foyer of the White House wing of the National Assembly complex, where it laid in state throughout the duration of the Senate's valedictory session. Family members, close relatives, friends of the deceased, and leaders from Anambra, some members of the House of Representatives from the Southeast, and other states of the Federation attended the session. Vice President Kashim Shettima attended the session and paid tribute to the late senator.
The youngest member of the 9th Senate was also one of its brightest stars. His age belied his political dexterity and grassroots affiliation. His generosity knows no bounds, and his free spirit broke down political and ethnic barriers. There was a time the Boko Haram viciously attacked a community in Borno Central. Senator Ifeanyi Ubah reached out to me through my friend, Mikhail Tokumbo Abiru. He traced me to my house and gave a donation of 50 million naira and said, please, I don't want this donation to be publicized.
While speaking, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the day was dedicated to Senator Ubah's memory and the services he rendered to this great country.
We are dedicating this day to him and his memory for his service and services to our dear nation, the business community, the vulnerables in the society, and humanity as a whole. We'll use a few minutes, maybe 1 minute each, to let the family know that he made indelible marks in the Nigerian Senate.
Senators also paid tribute to the late senator.
It's a big loss to us. Ifeanyi Ubah was a patriotic Nigerian, a man who was an epitome of courage, an epitome of determination, an epitome of resilience. Someone who had the passion of his people, someone who was always serving his people.
So today we are saddled with a very difficult and painful responsibility of saying goodbye to one of our own. And as the Deputy Senate President has said, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah was a consummate politician, an epitome of philanthropy, and a jolly good fellow.
Thereafter, the Senate observed a minute's silence in Ubah's honor.
May the soul of our departed colleague, Dr. Ifeanyi Ubah, rest in perfect peace.
Proceeded on a procession and resolved to send a powerful delegation made up of the Committee of the Whole. The Senate also resolved to immortalize the deceased by naming a ward after him. Inside the Senate continues with highlights of other activities of plenary proceedings after a 2-week recess. Then go away.
Urgent need for the federal government to take stringent
Citing
measures.
Order 41 and 51 of the Senate Standing Rules, bordering on matters of urgent public importance, Senator Yahaya Abdullahi moved a motion on the urgent need for the federal government to take stringent measures to stop the infiltration of a group of violent gangs of terrorists known as Lakurawa from entrenching themselves in some northwestern states through the Nigeria-Niger border at Ilela, Tangaza, and Silame local government areas of Sokoto, and Augi and Arewa local government areas in Kebbi State.
If timely, adequate and decisive measures are not taken, this group can spread its foreign reign of terror to other parts of northern parts of the country and beyond. Senate notes that the prompt response of the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces, who dispatched a well-armed military response squad that was able to dislodge the terrorists and secured the release of herds of cattle and other livestock that were stolen by the terrorists.
Some senators added their voices to the motion.
This is a very serious matter because it touches on national security. And that's why I want your attention and indeed the attention of Nigerians. Mr. President, if you recall that banditry started in Zamfara State. And about 9 years ago, nobody thought that it would spread to neighboring states. But we didn't take immediate measures to arrest the situation. And gradually, it spread to neighboring states of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, and even beyond, even Niger State. So this Lakurawa movement is a terrorist movement.
Mr. President, I support all the prayers of this motion. We need to nip this in the bud. It's too serious for us to allow to take it lightly because these people are well armed with sophisticated weapons, and I believe they even have some international connections. Therefore, there is a need for the government of Nigeria to take this matter very, very seriously.
Those in support of prayer too, I stated here and say aye.
At the end, the Senate resolved to urge the Nigerian military to maintain their presence and vigilance in the affected communities to halt the activities of Lakurawa from spreading further across the region. Further direct the military to work with the communities and other security agencies to set up early warning mechanisms to forestall further incursions. Further urge the federal government to send an assessment team to the affected areas to estimate the extent of damages and to determine the immediate relief needs of the affected families. Observe 1 minute silence in honor of the deceased community members killed in the wake of the terrorist incursion.
May the souls of all Nigerians who have so far been killed by these insurgents infiltrating the country from Burkina Faso and Mali, known as Lakurawa Group, rest in perfect peace.
Also aware that
on matters of urgent public importance, Senator Asukwo Ekpeong moved a motion on the urgent need to investigate the slow pace of work on the Odukpani-Itu Federal Highway in Cross River State.
Further aware that the road also serves as an evacuation corridor for the supply of solid minerals across the South-South and Southeast regions from quarries in Cross River State.
To this end, the Senate resolved to mandate the Senate Committee on Works to investigate the reasons behind the non-completion of repairs on the Odukpani-Itu Highway, including assessing the utilization of funds allocated for the project over subsequent budget cycles. Direct the committee to summon relevant agencies, including the Federal Ministry of Works, Federal Roads Maintenance Agency (FEMA), and contractors involved in the project to provide detailed reports on the status of the highway and challenges being encountered. Urge the federal government to prioritize the immediate completion of the Odukpani-Itu Highway to alleviate the suffering of the people and unlock the economic potential of the region. Urge the Federal Ministry of Works to review its policy on concrete pavement, particularly on old roads. On reports, the Senate received and considered the report of the Committee on Loan and Foreign Debt on the new external borrowing of 1.77 trillion naira, equivalent to $2.2 billion with $800 exchange rate. The report was submitted by Senator Wamako Magatakarda Aliyu.
As part of 2024 Operation Act to partially finance 7.179 trillion budget deficit in 2024. Mandate the request was part of the Committee on Loans and Foreign Debt to review and also recommendations.
After extensive deliberations, the Senate approved the new external borrowing plan. The Senate also received and considered the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the confirmation of the nomination of Omolola Bridget Oloworaran of appointment as Director General of National Pension Commission (PENCOM). It was presented by Senator Cyril Fasui, chairman of the committee.
At the screening session, distinguished members of the committee examined our curriculum vitae and other accompanying documents, and thereafter asked our questions with respect to our life, educational qualification, and work experience, career progression.
Some senators spoke in favor of the nominee.
Members were excited with her background as an investment and security expert. This came out very clearly.
This woman has distinguished herself in her career. She worked with the First Bank and she left there with an impeccable record. In fact, she's a brilliant professional that will do the nation proud.
The Senate then dissolved into the Committee of the Whole and considered the content of the report clause by clause. Thereafter, it reverted to plenary, where the nominee was confirmed.
The nomination of Olulola Bridget is hereby confirmed as Director General of National Pension Commission, PENCOM.
Removal from office of the chairman of the Code of Conduct.
On motions considered, Senator Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele invoked the provision of Section 157(1) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to call for the removal from office of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The lawmaker noted that the Senate has been inundated with series of petitions and allegations of corruption, misconduct against Yakubu Danladi Umar as chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
The Senate also notes that a statutory institution of such magnitude is expected to be an epitome of moral rectitude and should be seen to uphold the virtues of integrity, probity, and accountability. However, the official conduct of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar, who is the chairman of the tribunal, has fallen short of the requisite standard of a public officer to conduct the affairs of such tribunal.
The Senate resolution on sacking of CCT chairman was sequel to a voting made to that effect by 84 out of the existing 107 senators who attended the plenary.
Accordingly, Mr. Danladi Umar is hereby removed in line with Section 157, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution as the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
The Senate notes that for many years...
Another motion was presented by Senator Mohammed Tahir Mongono on the need to deploy adequate security personnel to endangered local government areas in Borno State.
Aware that recently relative peace has been restored in Borno State due to efforts of the Nigerian armed forces, which are commendable. However, some communities are still besieged by insecurity, as Guzamala local government does not have any civil authority in place, no military presence, while Abadam and Marte local government areas need security reinforcement. And also worried that the absence of military personnel in the areas may cause the insurgents to become more emboldened and attempt to capture surrounding communities, thus ruining the previous efforts by the government to secure the state.
Some senators supported the motion.
This problem is cancerous and is expanding. We are talking about them in Sokoto, Kebbi now. We are talking about them in Niger. They are going to Plateau. They are drawing the second cycle. The main purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. It's there in our constitution. We cannot change it. So everything should be focused on security.
Recently also, there are a series of attacks in Gaidam local government in Yobe State and Yunusari local government in Yobe State. Those local government are also bordering these areas he had mentioned. Therefore, I totally align myself with the suggestion by His Excellency, the leader, the former President of the Senate, Nat'l.
The Senate accordingly resolved to urge the Nigerian Armed Forces to establish a super camp at Guzamala local government area and mobilize adequate personnel to secure Abadam and Marte local government areas of Borno State. Mandate the committees on Army and Air Force to ensure compliance. In petitions rising on Order 40, Senator Rufai Isani Hanga drew the attention of the Senate to two petitions as follows. AA Hikima and Co. on behalf of Sabongari market shop owners and online marketers against the Nigeria Customs Service over an alleged extortion, harassment and unlawful impoundment of goods and vehicles meant for delivery to northern Nigeria. And landowners situated at Fanisau Road, Jaba, close to ammunition dump opposite Malam Aminu Kano International Airport fence, Fage local government area, Kano State, against the Nigeria Air Force over an alleged seizure of land. He urged the Senate to look into the matter.
That was a report of plenary proceedings from last week as presented from our studio. Stand by for our Senator of the Week in our profile segment coming up next. Keep watching.
Mukail Adetokunbo Abiru is a Nigerian banker and politician. He is the senator representing the Lagos East Senatorial District at the 10th Nigerian National Assembly. He was elected into the Senate in a by-election on the 5th of December 2020. He was born on the 25th March 1964. He holds a BSc Economics from Lagos State University. He also attended the 6 weeks Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program, as well as the Lagos Business School Senior Management Program. He is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, as well as an honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN. Senator Abiru served as the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Lagos State between 2011 and 2013 under former Governor Babatunde Fashola. He also went on to become an executive director at First Bank Nigeria Limited from 2013 to 2016. In July 2016, he was appointed as Group Managing Director by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to lead the turnaround of the regulator-induced takeover of the then-troubled Sky Bank in a bid to preserve the stability of the overall Nigerian financial system. The successful completion of the assignment gave birth to today's Polaris Bank Limited. Abiru has also served on various boards, including Nat'l Mobile Networks Limited, FBN Capital Limited, now FBN Quest Merchant Bank Limited, FBN Bank Sierra Leone Limited, and Nigeria Interbank Settlement System PLC, NIPS. In August 2020, Abiru resigned from Polaris Bank to contest the Lagos East senatorial election under the platform of the All Progressive Party. He is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking of the 10th Senate as well as a member of other committees. His legislative interests include education, tax matters.
This brings us to the end of the program this week. Join us next week for another fresh edition of the program. I'm your uncle Hadiza Bayro Aliu. Enjoy the rest of your day.